Ghost bells.
You did have ghost bells?
Well, once.
Like what we heard ghost bell?
Exactly.
Exactly the same.
Yeah, but Jenny was sleeping. I was in the bedroom. No one else is there. I heard it, but it's not like it happens here.
It happens up by the stairs. It happens in that.
But
was there a farmhouse right on your house?
What we were told was that's where the bunkhouses were for like the people who worked on the farm.
Some pissed off workers.
Something like that.
That's very loud.
Thank you.
Pointing that out.
Shut up! You do it every.
I know. That's why I'm pointing it out.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we yelled at Amy about it last time. Yeah, because it was like, Amy was like, yeah, that's great.
I'm having a stroke. Let me have my last Diet Coke.
You're going to die smelling Dorito.
Better than the poop closet.
Which is what I used to call the studio.
We were walking in, and Amy goes to the bathroom, and immediately she comes out, oh my God, what happened in there?
I didn't know they were behind me. I thought they'd gone down the other stairs. I walked in, I was like, oh my God.
All right, we're ready.
And I turned right back around, and I come out to them. I'm like, oh. What happened? Something happened in there.
It's a bathroom.
That's...
Someone took a dump.
But,
One of your mics is off, too, just to let you know. So.
What?
Is it Brian's?
Yours is, Javier.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
But I was not staying in there. I had to change.
Support for Wrong About Everything comes from Minnesota's credit unions. Credit unions are locally based, member-owned financial cooperatives that return earnings to members through higher savings rates, lower loan rates, and reduced fees. Visit mncun.org for more information.
And we are back with another episode of Wrong About Everything. I am Democratic strategist and the Puerto Rican heat, Javier Morillo.
I am GOP strategist and strangely smelling Doritos. That can't be good. Brian McDaniel.
I'm former Republican Senate Majority Leader, and there are no Doritos in the Minnesota Credit Union Network studio. Amy Koch.
And I am former DFL Senator Carla Bigham, and I am a Blaze Credit Union member.
Oh.
Yeah. So,
As am I.
yeah.
And we are?
Wrong about everything.
Except being credit union members.
Yeah. No, we're right about that.
Yeah.
We talked about this before. When did it become an American Gladiator named thing?
Blaze.
Blaze? That's an original one.
Well, because Spire and Highway Federal Credit Union
Got
merged.
together and had a baby.
They got together and
And
had a
it's
baby.
Blaze.
When mommy credit union and daddy credit union
Are
love
they,
each other.
I know they're all going to be Spike. What are the other American Gladiator names? Like,
Blaze was probably
yeah, Blaze. No, Blaze is
one?
definitely one of them.
I definitely watched once, I think.
No, it was pretty
Blaze.
great. That show was pretty
It
great.
was.
Yeah. Well, we
Turbo.
are here.
Was there a turbo or was that?
Yeah, that
A
was.
turbo. There's a
There
turbo.
was-
Or
yes.
was that break-in electric
No, there was
boogaloo?
definitely a turbo.
You had Gemini and Laser, too, guys.
Gemini and Laser.
There was a
yes.
Laser,
There was a
yep.
yeah, no, see? So we need all the credit union. The credit unions should all adopt American Gladiators. That's going to be our other platform this
pretty
year.
cool, pretty
Where
cool.
we are quickly adding to our legislative agenda this
Oh my
year.
gosh, it's stacked up.
We have we were just discussing a possible undercover guest we might get who can tell us all the shenanigans at the Minnesota State Fair.
And that is a legislative agenda, but it is more administrative. It's a FOIA request to find out who's behind the curtain.
No,
Let's take
I think
care
it's also legislative. We should undo their charter or something unless they
unless they reveal
they
why
unless
they chose this French fry stand over that French fry stand.
also
and
reduce
what
their
happened
also
with the mousetrap thing.
Also reduce their entrance fee. That's ridiculous. It's getting ridiculous.
$20.
It's turning ridiculous.
$20 next year.
Anyway, you'll see toward the end of this episode what our most recent legislative agenda is.
We've got an addition, folks.
Which we will be right on as soon as we have a legislature.
There's that.
But we are right now welcoming you to the Minnesota Credit Union Network studio in the recesses of MBC Studios in Northeast Minneapolis. Thanks as always to our producer, Gabe Noah. You should check him out. Check out his comedy. And as always, get in legal trouble, and sometimes you do. You know what you should do? Call the lawyers at Bradshaw and Bryant. Their entire team of attorneys and staff is dedicated to providing the legal advice you need, combined with the service and personal attention you deserve. If you have questions about how they can assist you with a personal injury, wrongful death, or criminal defense matter, do not hesitate to contact them. Consultations are free. Please contact them at 800-770-7008 or at minnesotapersonalinjury.com. God, I mean, it's back to moments. I guess we can't say things like "whoa, what a week," because well, pace yourselves. But got a lot to talk about. Well, first of all, welcome back, Carla.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. This is fun. I enjoy seeing you all.
You want to tell people a little bit? I think by now most people know who, all about you. But
Yeah, I'm 5 feet tall. I like long walks on the beach. I like 90s country and 90s WW. And
90s country?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, Terry Clark's my favorite.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm obsessed with 90s country.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. Winona.
That's the era of like,
'cause
I've been born just plain white trash.
Yeah.
Fancy was my name.
Yeah, Little Reba.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta love it. Well, because I graduated high school in '91 and went to college, and that's right when Garth exploded. So
Oh, yeah.
90s country. That's it.
Oh, yeah.
That's the thing.
No, I spent a 9-year sentence in the legislature. So, I mean, 9 years in the legislature with 4 in the House, 5 in the Senate, and in between all of that, I also have been on the Washington County Board of Commissioners. So that's what I do.
Are you currently on the board?
I am.
Washington County, the second best W county in the state.
So with everything,
Wright County is-
Wantawan?
no,
Wright
it's
County
the
is the
best
first.
county in the state. But with everything going on and the craziness, whether it's the feds or the state, we're a little nervous,
Yeah.
So, anyway,
It's wild. So let's get into it. 19-year-olds in charge of government. This is a fun thing happening now.
Well, do we believe in Gen Z or not?
No. No.
No, thanks, Boomer.
Okay, Boomer.
Oh Lordy. So this last week we've seen well, first of all, it's like department that doesn't exist but is becoming the DOGE, the Department of Governmental Efficiency, and heard news of them. Just this team of this small team of folks that Musk is leading. They are shutting down U.S. They're trying to shut down USAID, the international aid agency. They have gained access to secret. Very sensitive, like payment mechanisms within the government and the Treasury, and the Treasury employee that tried to stop them because that's illegal, because there's a law about who can have access to that or not, has been fired.
Well, was he fired? Hold on. Was he fired or did he leave? I feel like that is unclear. He's been there for, I think, certainly decades. I believe around almost close to 3 decades, if not 3 decades. And I think it's unclear.
Do you really think there's a distinction there?
Well,
Do you honestly think
well,
there's a
I'm
distinction
just saying, like a little bit, like it's because I think from a variety of perspectives, like what he's going to say and what he's going to talk about, it could matter. So, but I don't know. I don't know if he was fired or if he left. So that's all.
He was removed from his responsibilities. Like is what we
because President Musk did that, right?
Co-president. What are we calling Elon? He's
Patriot.
Of what country?
I just think it's
A couple
scary.
different ones.
I just think it's scary. I think Amy proudly and bravely served our country and had to get clearance, and when she was in the military to do her job.
Air Force.
And
Yeah.
I'm very proud of. I am very
big
proud.
bad fight.
Yeah, I'm very proud of what Amy did. My point is that she had to get clearance to do that. I've worked in government and in child protection, and you had to have a lot of clearance to get information. So there's reasons you do that.
Well, and certainly the Treasury Department has
it's-
all.
yeah,
It's not
lot of
access,
sensitive.
Access. It's super sensitive. It's
Yes.
all our information, by the way.
It's all of our information. Literally, just think about like you send your social security
Yes.
number to like the.
Of course.
What about a leak? What about, anything like that? that can
Every
cause
business,
hardship. Yep.
They have all the information.
It's just wrong.
I think
And-
sorry.
And I just think when it come down and break everything down, it's like, where is Congress in all of this? You know, you have the Constitution. You know, it's break it down. Article 1, Section 1 says it's Congress. Article 1, Section 2 and 3 it talk about, you got to be elected. You got to be elected to do stuff. And you have a Section 8 says the powers of Congress, and that means that to abolish or to create a department, which Doge is not, it's not existing. So what they're doing is
And
not.
USAID is.
Yeah. You can't abolish USAID. So, I mean, the courts have to step in, and more importantly, Congress does. They have a role here, and it's scary that they're not stepping in and doing it, and the Republicans are in charge of doing this, so that somebody's going to have to step in.
They're busy lobbing softballs at RFK Jr.'s worm in his brain.
I mean, this is what I mean. From the outside, I think that if I kind of trusted that this was being done with a scalpel and not a shotgun, I would have a very different opinion. Because none of us can sit here and say, well, it's never a good idea to look and kind of try to find government waste.
100%.
We know, and some of the stuff that's coming out, albeit with a political motive, some of the stuff's coming out. You're like, oh, why are we spending money on $2 million here, $5 million there, $10 million there, when we have people who are on the streets and all that. So I 100% don't have an issue with the theory here. Yep. Do I trust that this is being done intentionally and legally? No, I don't. And so, I mean, I might be a little bit more likely to say, well, let's just kind of see where this goes than you guys. I understand that. But, I don't know that there is. I mean, I do think that there is a with this whole administration a feeling of, well, it's better to just make them tell us we can't do it but we're going to try anyway, and that's not how
there
this is
isn't
supposed to
even
work.
there isn't even a hypothetical theory for how this is legal.
I don't think there is, so a couple of folks for Republicans that are listening. Just like I always say with anything that's like unprecedented like this, you have to put the shoe on the other foot. And where would we be if Democrats brought in name X liberal billionaire and
George Soros?
Can't say his name.
And put them in charge of some branch of government that had not been officially created, and gave them access to like all that private information. Again, what Brian said, I actually think and fully support going after the bloat in government. And by the way, Jimmy Carter tried, Ronald Reagan tried, Barack Obama promised it, George W. Bush promised it. Many presidents have promised. Many of them have failed. And so I do think that even being more aggressive about it, and I think the scalpel thing is the thing, right? It's scalpel versus dynamite, because, or let's take a military action. Military action, you don't carpet bomb every place that you go into. And why don't you? Because if you do that, one, the bad guys can often escape through tunnels. It's not effective.
It's going to ruin your carpet.
And second of all, innocent people get hurt.
Right.
And so there are times where an action is more aggressive, and there are times better when you send in Navy SEALs, when you are more tactical about things. And doing this proper with the imprimatur of the American people, you're going to be better off with the support of Congress. Which, by the way, President Trump has the Senate. He has the House. Republicans control all three levers of government. And certainly Republicans in the Senate and the House would feel exactly the same as Brian and I. And I think most Americans would. Like many presidents have gone after this. Let's find this out, because the numbers that are coming out about the way that certain money is spent is shocking. And I think that there's talk about they're saying that they found overpayments with no authorization in over $1 trillion in the last 20 years.
Oh, yeah, but I don't believe a single word they're saying
Well,
about
this
any
is
of
the
that.
other thing. I hate you so much, Brian and me. He just corrected my grammar by a note on his
gave her
phone.
an editorial note.
Brian
that
and me.
It's Brian and me, not Brian and me.
Anyway, so like the premise of this, it's how they're going, and frankly, I don't see how any of this stands up in court. So then, what good is it going to be in the end?
Well, I think that the question of what stands up in court will be an interesting one because there's no chance this stands up in court, and I also think they will ignore it, and then what we have is a constitutional crisis because the courts have no army to impose their will, and what they're doing is one of the articles we read in the Washington Post took a deep dive with there are all these agencies that are quietly saying, hey, this isn't legal, and they are one of the people quoted in the article saying is they're basically trying to. They're doing as many illegal things as possible, and see which ones they get away with. Yeah. This is the thing about because I've said this for a long time. I think government efficiency should be a platform of the party that believes in the role of government, because we should especially not want government waste. I also think there's a reason why why Republicans always campaign on shrinking government and then never do it, and we're experiencing it and going to be experiencing it more and more with this DOGE stuff because people the reach of the federal government and the reach of government period is just it happens in ways that you don't even think about because you don't have to think about it, but usually the way when we say the government's reach is really wide, that's like a right-wing talking point or a conspiracy talking point about the federal government is running everything. We're also going to be faced with and learn all the ways in which just simple things that you do are also now they're taking the same quote unquote scalpel to Department of Education, and anyone with children with special needs is going to very quickly learn a hard lesson that without the federal government, there are absolutely in the Department of Education, there are no requirements for your kids to be serviced in schools in ways appropriate to their needs.
Well, there is safety net in Minnesota that we put additional requirements on for children with special needs.
10% of Minnesota's education funding comes from the federal government, so that's a problem. But to add on to what Javier's saying, I think one of the other issues is Democrats were saying this is going to happen. If he's in there, if Trump gets in there, this is going to happen. We didn't want a FA and FO. We warned people. And so we weren't the ones that were supporting what we knew was going to happen when he got in there because we believed what he said he was going to do. And so I think that that's the most concerning part. And now we have a Congress that is not checking him. And I think the constitutional crisis that is going to happen if we don't, if the courts don't step in. Right now they are stepping in on some of this, but for how long? And will he respect it? We also have a history of people not respecting court decisions right now. Yeah. And so I think those are the issues that this country is going to be facing.
Well, and I don't like the weaponization of government against whether it's Republicans or Democrats. When the Democrats were talking about hiring all those IRS agents to investigate us and audit us and all that stuff, I didn't particularly care for that. It made me uncomfortable. This makes me uncomfortable as well, not because I don't understand the goal. I do. I just don't know that I trust that government efficiency is really what we're talking about here, and that's what I can respect government without trusting it, and I don't trust it just because the guy in charge has an R by his name.
Yeah, and again, the real world.
Anybody, right? No. That's the whole point of our country is that we don't trust the government. We don't trust in one person. We don't have a king. We have term limits on presidents. We have term limits. We don't have term limits on Congress, but we have like safety guards. We have the checks and balances. We have three
They're not
separate and
happening right
co-equal,
now.
right? We have separate and co-equal branches of government. Like that's the whole point of what we do, because no one person will possibly get everything
Well, and to
right.
Carlos' first point about Congress needing to step in, one of the things that we're dealing with here is executive order stuff, and executive orders bloated because Congress was just willing to allow, for decades, for going back to the presidents of our birth, they were willing to let the president through executive order legislate, and now we're saying, oh, well, it's too far. Well, it's death by 1,000 cuts. We have allowed this power to increase, administration after administration, because Congress didn't want to act. Whether
Depending on which team was in charge, and both sides ignored it.
And I think it's ironic that the one thing they're talking about is, and I agree that fraud is not acceptable, and I actually think that whether it's here in Minnesota or on a national level, everybody needs to lean into that and accept it and work together to stop it. Because I think here in the state level, you have the governor that has ideas, you have Senator Gustafson that's put forward a package, and you have the Republicans that have put forward a package. Whenever we get a functional state legislature, I think that should be the first thing collectively. They come together, put a package together, and move something forward, because I think Minnesota deserves it, and I think they should do that. But I think it's ironic that in the middle of the night, Trump fires his inspector generals, but is worried about fraud. So, I mean, you can't have it both ways.
And
well, when I say he's got cousins that need.
Well, we're gonna, when we see the real world implications of a lot of this, right?
Yeah.
The administration comes in, they fire the head of the FAA. Without naming a replacement. They announce a hiring freeze across the government, including a hiring freeze in the FAA and including of air traffic controllers. They've now taken that back. Because why? Because we had a horrible accident that was due in part to understaffing of federal AV and FAA. Like, that's not how we should be learning lessons, right? But here we are.
You guys don't smell that? I'm still the only one that smells Doritos.
I
You really are stroking out.
Yeah, I really do not smell
I'm getting a little
Doritos.
worried.
At least they'll be a
Somebody get him
delicious
some water.
stroke.
Yeah, it's not even Cool Ranch.
Yeah, no. Well, at least.
I don't know.
Okay.
No, I
well,
do not smell Doritos.
Jenny, if you're listening,
I love you.
come pick me up.
Good Lord. She'll be texting me soon. And USAID. So one of the things that interesting about USAID and because people always, foreign aid is always a favorite thing for politicians to say, oh, we shouldn't be sending money. And there's a logic to it, right? People always say, well, like why are we paying for roads here instead of things abroad? And of course, like, that argument is a more powerful emotional argument than the fact that it's 1%, less than 1% of the federal budget. Because if we're really going to shrink the federal government, you can't do it without shrinking the military and entitlements.
That's it.
Period.
It's entitlements in the military. That's the big expense.
Those are the two things.
That's the big expense.
And so
people don't want to touch those, so they use this political argument.
But USAID, so the work that USAID does to help alleviate poverty around the world is, for example, one of the things that keeps people from migrating from their home country if they are poor into either Europe or the United States if they're in the Americas. The agency was established specifically to further U.S. interests, and there are many criticisms of it for that reason, because it's where they send the aid has everything to do with where the U.S. is interested. And so when we talk about things like we're worried about China's expansion in Africa and throughout Latin America, like, what China is doing is investing in infrastructure across the world. They are doing the exact same thing. It's their own USAID program. to further their interests. So if we have concerns about things like them being in the Panama Canal or whatever, or anything like that, the answer normally in normal circumstances is this area of government, which is foreign aid.
Mm-hmm.
And so now the full dismantling of it in this way, which again, it was authorized by Congress, and government people who work for the USAID have just been are being furloughed, laid off, it is wild, and no one standing up to it.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio came out and said that the work being done by USAID is folded into the State Department.
Yeah, but he said that. That's not legal.
Because they need to act to Congress.
And I agree. I think first of all, I am certain in USAID that there is money ill spent as well. You cannot tell me that this is not a department in the federal government that doesn't have money being spent poorly. Particularly, it's just there's billions of dollars, and that's how it's going to go. I approach USAID in a very different way as a veteran. I don't want us to only have the military as the only means of projecting power across the world. Truly, what Javier is saying about it being less than 1% of the budget. It is. It's less than 1%. It's an easy target, but it's not, folks. If you are looking to control spending on the federal level and you think USAID is the answer, it is not. And also, I don't want the military everywhere solving every single problem. They can't do it. It's not right for the men and women serving. It's not smart.
Well, now we're gonna run Gaza.
And this is not a smart way to move forward. And also, by the way, it is disrespectful of the military to ask them to go into every situation and deal with it. And so diplomacy and projecting our power in other ways altruistically is something that we do as a country. And so, look, take the department, work with Congress, take that department into the State Department, dig into the budgets. Again, I'm all for that.
Yep.
Figure out ways to do it smart. Figure out ways to use AI and IT to innovate and change that. Thank goodness. It's about damn time we start talking about that, and it's well past time to talk about that.
Yep.
But doing it in this way is not effective or smart, and has some, some problem.
I have a question.
Implications.
Is USAID, are those the people that won't give Gronk insurance?
No, it's USAA,
Oh, okay.
which I'm also a member of because my dad's a veteran. So I get to be a member.
Well, good for you.
Dun, dun, dun.
USAA. What is that?
They have
It's
insurance,
military.
credit cards, and all that.
I'm eligible for that too.
Yeah, I'm eligible. Yeah. One thing I also want to say about USAID are the vaccines. They also go to Rwanda and the Sudan and all over the world
and just say
Haiti.
something nice about a Republican, the amazing work that George W. Bush's administration did to stem the spread of HIV in the African continent was done through USAID.
Yeah, and I was just going to say the work on HIV and AIDS also is through this department, and so. It's also a public health issue, and so right now they're saying that because of all this disruption that they have vaccines that are spoiling, and that's just terrifying and sad.
Well, and it's Trump aside. Take Trump out of this for a second. This just shows both on the state level and on the federal level that when you do have legitimate fraud, it doesn't just hurt those. It hurts the people who are doing it right. So obviously,
the state's been handling that for the last 5-6 years. So I appreciate that everybody's stepping up now, but it is a little bit late because there's a lot of money that's gone out the door on the state level. But it hurts everyone.
But it shows why we should be trying to stamp out this fraud. But it's just a question of trust.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's move to Minnesota news, and I have a question for you all because
before you
we also have an update.
There is breaking news. Governor Tim Walz did set the special election date just now for House District 40B, and it's going to be March 11th.
Shocking.
As expected. That's by law. That was the date that everybody had.
Yeah. So
this just in.
That's the date that we will have the legislature.
I hope not.
No, the week after that.
Because they need dates to canvass.
By the way, that's 3 weeks to when they would go on Easter Passover break, and then that will be 10 days, and then it'll be 4 weeks after that to have a budget.
And no deadlines yet.
No.
Set.
This is going to be like college all-nighters. Everyone's going to be.
Well,
But there's no place to put them because we don't have any rooms because they're redoing the state office building and there's no rooms for people to meet.
Well, then it's a
Room
good
to
thing
lay
they're
down.
not up there.
I suppose.
That would be very
there you go.
crowded.
Is that the plan? Overcrowding.
It'd be very, very crowded.
Old Silver Linings
Where are they going to
Mario
put them?
over here. Mr.
I
Optimist.
think you said Patriot.
Wait. So, okay, I got a question for y'all.
Yeah.
Because our good friend here,
Yeah.
our former senator, last night sent me an article, and I got to ask you guys about this because I'm not a native Minnesotan. I'm just going to read this article. Minnesota Senator wants to make it legal to eat beavers again. That's the headline. A Minnesota senator is proposing reversing a law put in effect last year that banned the consumption of nuisance beavers in Minnesota. Now, I've never eaten a beaver.
So
Well-
this is Senate File 811, by the way. So folks
Well, it's
listening,
been a
if you're
long
in
time.
support, and I think that we need to think about this from our legislative agenda perspective. We've been having some behind the scenes conversation, but since we are on the record now,
What's a nuisance beaver?
well,
Random.
I have my own
wild
definition,
beaver.
but
Yeah.
It's a wild beaver.
I
Well,
feel
they,
like
they,
you
dam,
should
they
know what a
dam up
nuisance beaver is,
water
Javi.
sources.
excuse me.
I feel like you would know what a nuisance beaver must be.
I mean, yeah. I like I said, I just need to understand in this context.
You've been hanging
when
out
can
with
one
cabins.
eat a beaver? And
Well,
according
now-
to
now-
never.
no,
you
they're
cannot
banned.
eat.
Currently a ban.
There is lack of research on the safety of eating beaver.
But
So
I
that's
can-
why
I
they
can-
banned it.
I can remember, like in Lewis and Clark days, that for people who
You can. How old are you?
I'm not as old as you.
Well, I
But
didn't know Lewis and Clark.
I read about it because I can read that you would eat the tail of the beaver because it was full of.
You'd hate it,
was full
Javier.
of,
You'd hate it.
full of fat.
Yeah, our producer says I'd hate it. Probably. I mean, beavers seem cute from a distance.
But up close, they're scary.
Now, okay. So can someone trace this back to me? Though?
All right, okay, so it was changed in
okay, because I
2024.
didn't know it was illegal.
It was only in 2024. And so we'll take you back a little bit.
Because
in
there were
time.
safety concerns about eating
2024,
beaver.
change was put into place. Senator Fong He indicated that there were concerns about potential disease.
Safety.
I hate you guys for eating a rodent.
A
And
what?
that the lack of research on the safety of eating
Is a beaver
beavers.
a rodent?
Well, there's a potential for disease or parasite contracted from eating a rodent. So that is why it was put in.
Yeah.
Now, Senator Steve Green questioned it, and he said, I'm not sure why it's in the bill. I can tell you that even though I personally don't go out and trap beavers to eat them, I have eaten them. It's pretty good.
They're excellent.
But it is a rodent, and I have a hard time getting past that. But I do know a lot of people that do consume beaver, and I think it's a little problematic that we're making it a
aren't
crime.
Wait a minute.
I'm
Okay.
with Senator Steve Green.
Is
Wait,
a rabbit not a rodent?
did Senator Justin Eichhorn
He did say
say-
that they were referred to as nature's chicken nuggets.
what?
Well, the man
Who says that?
He couldn't
knows.
say that if it wasn't true.
Who says that?
well,
Friend of the program.
people,
So Icorn says it's like chicken.
that
well, he-
people
chicken nuggets.
refer
He,
to
li-
it.
Chicken nuggets.
he lives up
Got it.
there. He
does.
Got it.
Yeah.
Up where? Where is this
he's
place?
he's Grand Rapids.
He's Grand Rapids.
Well, no, there's Brainerd. And,
Yeah.
yeah, he knows that that's what they say.
I mean, I think beavers are impressive animals. Have you seen how complex their dams are? It's wild.
Well, apparently it's not all beavers. It's on nuisance beavers.
What?
Okay, what
we brought
again?
Beavers trapped
like
are
that's
still
like
fair
Gen
game.
Z
Yeah.
beavers.
So I think what they're saying
Trapped-
is like a beaver in the wild that you
Wild.
trap is fine to eat, but there's a nuisance beaver.
The
Like if
hell
they're
does that-
Like if they're under the porch, they'd be like, get
don't-
out of here.
Yeah, don't
Beaver.
eat those random beavers.
Get in my belly, beaver.
Okay, so I mean, as always, I
Point
like
is, we're rolling it back this year. Thank goodness.
Not on
Senator
our
Grand
watch.
House child.
now.
Freedom.
For Senate File 811.
In my current job, I have a boss who likes to he's full of ideas these days, and I'm always the question I'm always asking is, so what problem are you trying to solve here?
You mean in 2024?
Sure. what problem were we trying to solve when we banned eating nuisance beavers,
afraid-
which seems very subjective? I mean, I think I would find a lot more beavers annoying than Brian would. Right?
Brian?
Do you find beavers
I mean,
annoying?
His history would show that I do not.
Yeah, see? So then that's a weird picture of a beaver on screen.
I feel bad for the people who are just listening to us on their favorite podcast app.
Yeah, well, you should
They
go
have to-
on YouTube and
Look,
see
they
this.
care. They care.
I
The
didn't know
people
they could do
listen
that with their
care.
tails. I didn't know they could do that
And
with
these
their
folks
tails.
love legislation, and they love us when
They
we
were
get
trying
in
to
depth.
solve the problem of
Nuisance?
diseased beaver.
They don't want you to. They don't
want
did-
you to eat
They
diseased
didn't
beaver.
want you to eat it.
Yeah.
But now, evidently, it's okay.
Now
Well,
that-
maybe.
No,
There's
who
no
is-
fact.
They have
who
some
is-
science. I
building
think the
support.
DNR
Who
now
wants us
maybe
to
has
eat
some
beaver?
more.
Well, Senator
Senator
Grant
Grant
Houschild
Houschild wants you to
Senate
eat
File
beaver.
811.
What party is that
He
guy?
doesn't- He's not
Democrat.
compelling us to
Democrat.
eat beaver. He's saying if you would like to eat beaver, you can.
He's
That's all he's saying.
freedom to eat beaver. He's pro-choice when it comes to beaver. Is
Eating it.
to eating it. Okay, Senator Houschild, you have an open invitation to come on to Wrong About Everything to explain
But let's be clear. I think we're supportive.
Yes.
what
Well, hold on.
of
Are we
what.
No, of the opportunity
of
the
freedom.
choice.
Yes.
Of
Freedom.
freedom.
Freedom to
No,
eat.
you know, I like their dams. I don't think we should be eating the beavers.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
Why do
right,
you-
should we have a vote on this? Because I would like to move that we add it to our Wrong About Everything legislative
Yeah.
agenda.
I will second
Senate
that.
File
I
811.
I
We
will
have a
second that. Yeah.
All in favor?
Yep.
Say aye.
Aye.
Lifting the ban.
Yep.
And all opposed, same sign.
Nay.
Okay, well, the vote being 3
3
to
to
1.
I was a whip, so I helped you count.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
We are in support of Senate File 811.
Okay.
So,
somebody
listeners,
should let Senator Houschild
we're
know.
going to need a letter writing campaign.
Yeah, I am not going to be partaking in beaver. Thank you.
Well, no, and you don't have to. That's the beauty of Senate File 811.
Freedom.
You don't have any reason.
Yeah. So
People
fun.
are reacting to the name of our show.
Yeah, well, you know, you should listen to the show before you get all
Jump
huffy
to
about
conclusions.
it. Stop jumping to conclusions. I don't know what y'all are thinking about.
You can.
They've been naughty.
Anyway, so the DFL Senate's back. The DFL is back in the majority in the Senate.
They're back, baby.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, the Senator Doran Clark was seated.
Yep, we're in his district.
We're in his district, and so now the count goes back to 34
33.
Democrats, 33 Republicans, and so the power sharing is off. When you have a 1-vote majority, power sharing goes away, and so the Senate DFL now they had an official vote on Monday on the floor. Look, no one is surprised about this at all. Everyone know that would be the case.
And we'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah.
Some committees are going to kind of like informally keep the power sharing agreements. And I mean, here's the thing: at the end of the day, let's just say that none of this stuff happened. That the Democrats didn't run an illegal candidate in 40B, and that there aren't these consequences that come with running an illegal candidate in 40B. Let's just say that didn't happen. Still, at the end of the day, somebody has to be able to make the last decision. So I think this was always going to blow up. It's just doing it earlier than.
Well, and again, go back to it. We're 201 legislators. Or I'm sorry, 200 legislators. 100 are Republican and 100 are Democrat. And in the end, everyone's going to have to work together to get something done. It's just impossible otherwise.
You know, I think remember how we did that public service announcement for Sunday to end Sunday liquor sales.
Not all.
Are we doing one for sports betting?
I think we need to do one for lobbyists, like urging the legislature to come back to work. Poor Amy and Brian cannot make a living.
Oh, okay. Listen, there is a budget looming. That's not me. That's our Minnesota Constitution, which requires that a balanced budget be passed every 2 years.
Listen,
or government shuts down.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, to Amy's point, it's it's already hard enough in the 15 weeks that they have normally in a normal session to get a budget done. I I don't see them getting it done by May 16th or whatever it is.
And we have a deficit looming in
Yes.
27, 28, a large deficit of $5 billion.
So
not in this, by the way, not in this biennium, but in the out biennium, which has to be solved because the spending can't continue in that way.
And the House still hasn't decided, what's going on there, and all the Republicans in the House are doing just keep suing people, and so I
think didn't they initiated
another lawsuit today.
and recall petitions against everyone.
Yeah, the party did. The party did.
The party
I don't
did,
know that was from the House Republicans. That was from the party.
That was from the party.
But
MNGOP.
Yeah. So I just
They had
you
money
got to
for
start.
that?
Oh no, I don't. I think.
Oh, that was awesome.
I think with a certain segment, this is going to help them fundraise. But
But at the end of the day, you got to start winning some of these lawsuits or something like that, because otherwise, it's just people are going to tune it out. And the polls that came out,
they did. That's why we have a special election on March 11th. Where it would have been all done.
but I think like the polling that came out on KSTP just shows that people don't understand the nuance of it. But they want people to work together, right? And they don't want people to get paid if you aren't there. So those are the two things that came out of
this podcast, because I feel like we've explained it better than anyone I've heard, because we have a long form podcast.
Yeah. So
experts.
Yeah, we just gotta. It's just not a good look. But at the end of the day, I think the long game is they're gonna get a budget done. When? Who knows? It's gonna get done though. And
put that on a bumper sticker.
Yeah.
When? Are we gonna have that?
Who knows?
Who knows?
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
Eventually. Slow and steady wins the race.
Will it be before the deadline? Perhaps.
I don't think so.
Will there be a special
when our
session?
deadlines?
Maybe?
We don't even have deadlines.
Yeah.
So I think
nothing matters.
Yeah. So
we're taking a scalpel to government.
Yeah. But I think
for the record, I did not say that we were. I was saying we should. I was saying they are taking dynamite, I believe is what. Just to be clear.
All right. Do we have
pretending this is a scalpel?
No, this is definitely not a scalpel. They're like 19-year-old kids, like one still in college, in charge of government right now. So yeah, that's.
He has all your sensitive private data too, Javier.
Yeah. Good Lord. Good luck with that. Do we have any folks have plugs? Plugs.
We should mention just the Ken Martin.
Oh, right. I was going to.
Congratulations.
Well, we could do that.
Again.
Yeah, congratulations to
it's
the
a big deal.
Chair of the Minnesota DFL, who is now chair of the National Democratic Party.
So I've known Ken since 2002, and he's taught me a lot.
Have I.
He's taught me so much.
No, sorry. I was saying. Never mind.
Oh, okay. He's taught me a lot, and I'm very proud of him. He really is the best person for this job, and I'm going to be anxious to see how he takes his talent and puts them across the whole nation. And I think right now he's the one that hopefully will rebuild and unite a party to come back in 26 stronger than ever.
So. What I would just say is, like, I probably don't agree with Ken on much. Two, I can recognize some talent, and he has been an overwhelming, like, when it comes to statewide elections, there's just, like, the proof is in the pudding. The numbers don't lie. And he has presided over a very long run of the DFL winning statewide. But I would say that the issue that the Democrat Party continues to have is sort of this disconnect between, sort of rural, or what we call greater Minnesota, and just across the nation, not connecting with a huge segment of the population. And I don't think those numbers in Minnesota have borne that out. I mean, greater Minnesota has been turning blood red the entire time that Ken Martin was in as the DFL chair. Now, obviously, I'm not putting all of that on him, but I'm not sure what solution he would have for that, because that is one area. And again, I will acknowledge game where I see it, but the DFL have just completely lost control of every part, including the Iron Range, which, if you'd have told me 15 years ago the Iron Range was going to be blood red, I would have told you were crazy. Yeah. And in the time that Ken has been chair, the Iron Range has gone blood red.
Well, I think it's twofold. I think it's one, we do have to go there and have the conversations. I do think that, and you're right, it's not all on Ken. But I do think having the conversations and listening and finding the commonalities that we have. But two, I think the policies that the blood red Republicans don't match the rhetoric. And I think look at the tariffs. I mean, we have 30 days here of what's going to be sheer panic. Look at the corn and soybean markets that these farmers are going to have, that their markets are going to go just with China, it's going to be gone. We have our top 3 trade partners of China, Mexico, and Canada. The fertilizer for these farmers bought all and pretty much in Canada, going to have all tariffs. It's going to hit pocketbooks, especially in greater Minnesota.
But that's not what's resonating with greater Minnesota. Like, they're not buying
But their pocketbook, the pocketbooks.
But I think where I agree with what Carla is saying, I think the issue of yes, Democrats have an issue reaching people in rural areas, just as Republicans have an issue reaching voters with education and voters voters with college degrees and voters in urban areas. What we have, I think, what you're isolating as a problem is not a partisan problem. It's a civil society problem. That what we have is an increased chasm of that we've sorted ourselves in such ways that people now live where they agree with everyone, that and their lives are increasingly siloed. It's so it's a big thing. I mean, I think in terms of Ken, I think like what the party did in electing Ken is someone who knows the party very well, knows state parties very well. And now, what I hope he does is hire a kind of like the equivalent of the White House spokesperson, like someone who will be the Democratic Party spokesperson. My candidate for the job would be Jess McIntosh, who used to. She's fantastic
great
on TV, and because Ken does a lot of things well. Messaging himself is not one of them, and so I say that with love. Just because when we are at a power, the chair of the party is sort of the head of the party, and that is my only concern, there. But I think paying attention to state parties and to building in states is what we need to happen, and I think that's what that is why he was elected. But yeah, so. So we go to. Did we lose a Brian?
We did. Brian had to get to a meeting, so he was going to be late. So
all right.
Sorry, team.
Okay. So you got any plugs?
Sure. You can catch Brian and I on the BS podcast every Tuesday, and
you can catch Brian and me.
Brian and me. You stop it just because he left.
No, I actually it drives down sounds me crazy all the time. People overcorrect all the time on that. Just say the sentence without Brian. Just say you can catch me on the Brian. If that's when you would say
English
it, then
class.
you'd say catch Brian
I know.
and me.
Everybody loves grammar, please.
Yeah.
And then you can also every Friday, 8:20 WCCO with Vanita Sakar. It's Capital Clash. You can tune in. And this week I'll be on TRT World News, one of their panel discussions. That's going to be tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. I think that's it.
You doing anything?
The Super Bowl Sunday, and I still can't bet on it.
Oh, sad.
That's it.
Boo-hoo. I am going to be on Almanac this Friday.
Nice.
Oh my goodness, I'll be an almanac with you.
Oh, no way. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, fun.
I almost forgot.
We'll be talking probably about a lot of these things again. So
That's what I'm guessing this is going to run again.
But in a lot more, probably not so much, probably less beaver talk.
Yeah.
I'm going to guess.
Yeah.
But, but cool. Spanks and thanks. Who wants to go first?
Go ahead, Carl.
I will go. My thanks is to Shaletta Brundridge. She brought a couple hundred Black entrepreneurs to her 3rd annual Black Entrepreneur Day at the Capitol, and I'm just so proud of her for lifting up the message and the advocacy and really bringing the Capitol folks together. Not really the House Democrats, but everybody else that came from the governor on down, and appreciate the bipartisanness that came. And it was just a great day, and all her sponsors, and it was just a great day to start the week, and Black History Month, by the way. And my Spanx is President Musk. You just bought a presidency, and now if you want to be writing laws and getting rid of departments, go run for Congress or Senate.
Yep.
Okay. My thank is going to be to Secretary of State Rubio for the Panama. The country of Panama has now agreed after a visit with the Secretary of State and President Donald Trump making a big deal about China's involvement in the Panama Canal. They are going to back away. In 2017, they had a memorandum of understanding that they would be a part of China's Belt and Road Global Development, and the president, President Jose Raul Molino, has stated that he will not renew that, and that they will work in closer relationship with the United States of America. And so that is a thank for me. And my spank is going to be this is going to sound, this is about the Centennial Office Building for folks coming to the Capitol. And eventually, a lot of people are going to be coming to the Capitol. The State Office Building is being rebuilt, and the House has been moved into the Centennial Office Building. And this is not a lobbyist thing, because I can make meetings and I can call people, and I'm fortunate to have some very good working relationships. But the Centennial Office Building has like restrictions on access with the elevators, restriction on offices. You sign in with a visitor badge that doesn't have anybody's name on it, but has color coded for the floors, which no one's paying any attention to. The Capitol is the people's house, and the State Office Building is an extension of that. And that means that Minnesotans get to come in and respectfully have conversations with their legislators, and that access is really being curtailed. Because this procedure that's been done in the Centennial Office Building, well, things have changed. The Centennial Office Building for the next 2 years is going to be home to the Minnesota House, and something has got to be worked out. And that's not a lobbyist speaking, but it's for all the people of Minnesota that want to have an opportunity to meet and talk with their state legislators. And it's been made increasingly difficult for people. In fact, it's easy. It's much easier for lobbyists to have access. It should be equally easy for all citizens of Minnesota, and so that's my spank.
My first spank is for Elon Musk as well, for the unelected co-president. So yesterday he went after our U.S. Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, is someone tweeted a video of her and said, Ilhan Omar is conducting seminars for Somalians, SIC there, SIC rather, Somalis, who are living illegally in the U.S. without documentation, providing guidance on how to evade deportation. That was the text of the tweet that Elon Musk quote tweeted. He said, she is breaking the law literally outright, and so it sent hordes of people after her. Her security threat has been very elevated. The security precautions around her have had to go into overdrive. Some important things to know. First of all, there is nothing illegal about telling people their rights under the law, and everyone has rights under the law, including those who are undocumented. Second of all, and this is very critically important, that video was fake. The meeting that the video shows was not attended by Representative Omar, and if you look at it, like they took an interview she did somewhere else and made it look like she was in this place where she was not. At this time of just heightened tensions and with political violence on the rise, this is incredibly, incredibly irresponsible, but not that he cares. I think he would love to see violence upon her or anyone else. It's just, it is a shame. So it was fake news, literally fake news, A, but B, just do want to make the point that it is not a crime to tell anyone what their rights are, including undocumented people. My other spank is going to be, and actually to producer Gabe, it's different than the one I had in the run sheet. Changed my mind last minute. So for folks who saw the press conference about Gaza. The Trump administration, I'm reading from a CNN article, Trump administration officials are hurrying to catch up to the president's audacious and improbable plan for the United States to take ownership of Gaza and redevelop it into a, quote, Middle Eastern Riviera, trying to wrap their heads around an idea that some hope might be so outlandish it forces other nations to step in with their own proposals for the Palestinian enclave. I hope people remember, right, that that President Trump campaigned as like, oh, he'll be a peacetime president, and no longer no foreign commitments. But the genocide that has been happening in Gaza, being complete, like it is so absurdly just gross to even contemplate that the end result of that would be Trump hotels there. This genocide is continuing, by the way. That even with the ceasefire, they've as the ceasefire has happened, Israel has stepped up its attacks on the West Bank and increased settlements there, and settlers there are being increasingly violent toward Palestinians who live there. So it's just a horrific situation in Gaza, made even more horrific by the thought of like, so now I'm counting, we'll have Greenland, Panama, and now Gaza as the current list of places where U.S. soldiers would be occupying into the future. So that sounds awesome, but I think we're done, right?
I think so.
With that, I am Democratic strategist and the Puerto Rican Heat, Javier Morillo.
And I am Twin City Sugar, because he's gone, Amy Koch.
And I'm former DFL Senator Carla Bingham.
And we are
Wrong
About
About
Everything.
Everything.
Take us away, Gabe.